Someone found me through Claude AI. Not Google, not Instagram, not a paid ad, not a directory, not a random viral post. They asked Claude for a recommendation, and Claude literally recommended me and my agency. And when that inquiry came in, I remember thinking, okay, this is not just a cute little tech moment. This is a signal. This is the market changing in real time. Because for years, we were trained to think about visibility in a very specific way. Be active on Instagram, rank on Google, get referrals, post on LinkedIn, build a website, collect testimonials, run ads. And all of that still matters. But now people are also asking AI who to trust, who to hire, who is credible, who understands a specific problem, and who should be on their shortlist. So, in this episode of Paid to Know, I want to talk about inquiries. Not just how many inquiries I get, but where they are coming from. What kind of inquiries are actually worth paying attention to, which ones I decline, and why I stopped selling certain services as standalone offers because I learned the hard way that some things fail when they are booked a la carte. Because a lot of service providers are obsessed with getting more leads, and I understand that. Leads matter. Inquiries matter. People reaching out matters. But after doing this for years, I don't think the better question is always how do I get more inquiries? I think the better question is what kind of inquiries am I attracting, and are they actually aligned with the business I'm trying to build? More inquiries does not always mean more money. More inquiries does not always mean better clients. More inquiries does not always mean easier sales. Sometimes more inquiries just means more people asking for your price. More people who are not ready. More people who want a cheaper version of what you do, or more people who want to pick one piece of your process and expect it to solve the entire business. So let me give you the real behind the scenes of how inquiries work for me right now with my agency, The Digital Authority. First, I need to clarify something important. My business is not really a monthly lead volume model. It is more of a quarterly capacity model. I do not keep client slots open all year because the first 90 days of onboarding a client are very intensive for us. That is the incubation period where we are building the foundation, setting up the systems, fixing the back end, restructuring the offer, preparing the visibility strategy, and doing the heavier build work that needs to happen before the client can move into a more stable rhythm. So when I say we usually get around 3 to 5 inquiries every quarter, that is not because the business has no demand. It is because we are not always in an open season. We intentionally control capacity because I do not want to bring in a new account if we cannot do quality work. Once the 90-day incubation phase is mostly done and the major builds are already in place, that is when we can properly make room for the next client. During those open seasons, around 70% of the inquiries usually come from referrals or warm connections. It is either a friend who referred me, someone who saw my personal post, a friend of a friend, a past connection, or someone who has quietly followed my work and finally decided to reach out. Around 10% comes from LinkedIn, around 10% comes from Instagram, and around 10% now comes from AI recommendation, which is honestly one of the most exciting signals for me because, like I said, one inquiry literally found me after Claude AI recommended me and my agency. But the more important number is not the inquiry volume. It is the filtering. If 5 people inquire, I will usually decline around 3. Not because I do not appreciate the inquiry, but because not everyone is the right fit for the work. Some people only want a standalone website. Some people only want content. Some people want random marketing support. Some people are too early. Some people want a la carte services when the real problem requires a full system. So instead of trying to bring everyone into a call, I protect the discovery process and only invite the ones who are actually aligned. I usually keep around 2 and invite them into a discovery call. And most of the time, once someone reaches that stage, I close 100% because they have already been filtered, educated, and aligned before the call even happens. They are not just asking, how much is a website? They are usually already aware that they need structure, visibility, authority, automation, conversion, and a better way to turn attention into booked clients or revenue. That is the part I want people to understand. The goal is not to get as many calls as possible. The goal is to get the right people on the call. By the time someone is invited to discovery, they are usually not coming in cold. They already understand that the digital authority is not just a website service, not just social media management, and not a random marketing menu. They understand that we build the full system: strategy, visibility, marketing system, automation, content, SEO, AEO, GEO, reputation, and conversion infrastructure. So this year, we have already onboarded 2 accounts, and we are currently onboarding 3 more accounts on a timeline. That tells me the model is working. We do not need to accept every inquiry. We need to protect the quality of the work, the capacity of the team, and the 90-day incubation process that gives each account the foundation it actually needs. Now let me go deeper into the sources, because this is where inquiry tracking gets interesting. The fact that around 70% of my inquiries come from referrals or warm connections tells me that trust is still the biggest driver in my business. A referral is not just a lead source, it is transferred trust. When someone refers you, they are not just giving your name, they are lending you credibility. They are saying, "I trust her enough to recommend her." That is a very different starting point from a cold lead who just saw one ad and is comparing 10 providers. This is why I think personal brand and reputation are so underestimated. A personal post can become a referral path. A client result can travel through a group chat. A thought you shared months ago can become the reason someone believes you know what you are talking about. A friend can mention your name in a room you were not in. A story that felt casual to you can become proof to someone else. So when people ask if personal posting even works, my answer is yes, but not always in the obvious way. It also works privately before it ever shows up publicly. LinkedIn being around 10% also makes sense to me because LinkedIn has a different energy. Instagram is more personal and visual. LinkedIn feels more professional and business-oriented. People there are usually thinking about expertise, credibility, positioning, growth, company direction, and decision-making. So when someone finds me from LinkedIn, the inquiry often feels more business contextualized. They are not just looking at the aesthetics of the work. They are looking at the thinking behind it. That matters because the digital authority is not a design studio in the traditional sense. It is not just, can you make my brand look good, or can you design my website? The work is about growth systems, authority, marketing systems, automation, content infrastructure, reputation, and making a business easier to find, trust, book, and scale. So LinkedIn supports that side of the positioning because it puts the work in a more strategic business context. Instagram being around 10% also does not surprise me because I am on Instagram. I show up there. I share thoughts there. I share parts of my life there. I share client work, lessons, behind the scenes moments, my book, my opinions, my wins, and sometimes even the messy parts of building. So it makes sense that some people inquire from Instagram because that is where they see me as a person, not just as a strategist. And I think that matters more than people admit. In a market where everybody can make a nice carousel, everybody can use templates, everybody can ask AI to write captions, and everybody can say they are a strategist, the person behind the work becomes part of the proof. People want to know how you think. They want to know how you make decisions. They want to know what you believe. They want to know if you have taste, judgment, consistency, and a real point of view. Personal brand is not just being seen. Personal brand is letting people recognize the quality of your thinking before they ever pay you. And then there is the AI recommendation. That one really stayed with me because it confirmed something I have been talking about with the digital authority. The internet is not only organizing businesses for humans anymore. It is organizing businesses for machines too. People are asking ChatGPT, they are asking Claude, they are asking Perplexity. They are asking AI tools to compare options, recommend experts, summarize agencies, and help them make decisions faster. So when AI recommends you, It means your digital footprint is starting to behave like proof. It means there are enough signals around your name, your agency, your positioning, your services, your content, your mentions, your credibility, and your category for an AI tool to connect you to a relevant query. It does not mean the system is perfect. And it does not mean you can control every answer, but it does mean your brand is becoming easier for machines to understand. That is exactly why the Digital Authority talks so much about AEO, SEO, and GEO. SEO helps people find you through search. AEO helps your brand become understandable and recommendable inside answer engines. GEO helps you show up in the right local context, especially for local service businesses, clinics, restaurants, studios, and premium brands. Together, these are not just marketing tactics anymore. They are reputation infrastructure. So overall, if I look at my inquiry sources, the pattern is clear. Most inquiries still come from trust. Some come from professional credibility. Some come from personal brand. And now some are starting to come from AI recommendation. That tells me the business is not depending on one channel. Trust is moving through people. Professional credibility is being built on LinkedIn. Personal brand is building connection on Instagram. And AI is starting to read the authority ecosystem we are building. Now let's talk about the kind of inquiries I get, because this is where I had to be honest with myself. For a long time, I was known for websites, branding, design, marketing, and strategy. And because I can do a lot, people would sometimes come to me asking for one isolated thing. Can you just build the website? Can you just do the branding? Can you just manage the content? Can you just fix the ads? Can you just do SEO? Can you just set up the CRM? And I understand why people ask that, because from the outside, those services look separate. But after doing this for years, I learned that a lot of those services fail when they are booked a la carte. Not because the service itself is bad, but because the business problem is usually not isolated. A website does not work if the offer is unclear. Content does not convert if there is no funnel. Ads waste money if there is no follow-up. SEO brings traffic that does not matter if the page does not build trust. A CRM is useless if the business does not know what journey the lead should go through. A brand can look beautiful and still be forgettable if the positioning is weak. That is why I do not sell websites as standalone projects anymore. A website by itself is not always the solution. A website can be beautiful, fast, and technically well built, but if the brand message is unclear, if the offer is confusing, if the business does not have a lead path, if there is no nurture, if there is no search strategy, if there is no authority, then the website becomes a polished container for a weak system. Marketing did not fail, the container failed. That is one of the biggest lessons behind the Digital Authority. Most businesses do not have a marketing problem. They have a system problem. They have a clarity problem. They have a positioning problem. They have a trust problem. They have a conversion problem. They have a follow-up problem. And when they try to solve those problems by buying one service at a time, they end up with disconnected pieces that do not compound. I have seen this happen in real life. Someone will come in asking for a website because they think the website is the problem. But when you look closer, the website is only one visible symptom. The offer is not clear. The content is not guiding people anywhere. The lead form is collecting names, but nobody is following up properly. The Google presence is weak. The reviews are not being used. The email list is dead or does not exist. The brand is posting, but there is no conversion path. So if I say yes to just the website, I already know what is going to happen. The site might look better, but the business will still feel stuck because the system around it was never fixed. That is why I do not want clients booking random marketing pieces and expecting them to magically work. I do not want someone to say, "Can you just do content?" if there is no offer clarity, no lead handling, no landing page, no follow-up, and no strategy behind what the content is supposed to do. I do not want someone to say, "Can you just do ads?" if the backend is broken. I do not want someone to say, Can you just do SEO if the website is not positioned to convert the traffic? That is how people waste money and then say marketing does not work. So now I am much more careful about what I offer and how I offer it. I am a lot less interested in selling one-off execution. I am more interested in building the full growth infrastructure. And if someone is not ready for that, that is okay. But they are probably not a fit for this offer. A good fit inquiry for the digital authority usually has one thing in common. There is already some traction, but the growth is messy. The business is not completely starting from zero. They may already be getting inquiries, sales, or attention, but the backend feels manual. The owner is still too involved in every step. The leads are not being nurtured properly. The website exists, but it does not explain the offer clearly. The content exists, but it is not converting enough. The service is good, but not enough people are finding it. The brand has potential, but no authority ecosystem around it yet. That is the kind of business I can help because they are not just buying deliverables. They are trying to build a better container for growth. A bad fit inquiry usually feels different, and I can usually feel it early. It is the person who only wants a website because they think the website alone will save the business. It is the person who wants content but does not want to define the offer. It is the person who wants leads but does not want to fix follow-up. It is the person who wants SEO and authority but expects it to work overnight. It is the person who wants premium positioning but does not have the budget, patience, or operational readiness to build the system that supports it. But not every bad fit is a bad business. Sometimes they are simply too early. Some businesses are still testing the offer. Some are still trying to figure out who they serve. Some are changing direction every week. Some need a starter brand, not a growth system. Some need basic execution, not the digital authority. That does not make them bad. It just means they are not ready for this process yet. And that is where I had to mature too, because in the past I could have been flattered by every inquiry. I could have thought, oh, someone wants a website, great. Someone wants content, great. Someone wants branding, great. But now I ask a different question. Is this the kind of work that will actually create the result they think they are buying? And if the answer is no, I would rather decline it than sell something I already know cannot carry the full business problem. That is not arrogance, that is efficiency. It saves their time, it saves my time, it protects the work, it protects the team, it protects the process. This is why I started treating bad fit inquiries as data instead of rejection. Bad fit inquiries are not something to ignore. They are something to study. If too many people are asking for website-only work, that tells me I need to keep communicating that website is part of the system, not the whole system. If too many people ask for content-only work, that tells me I need to keep showing that we build conversion paths, not just posting calendars. If people come in with no budget, that tells me I need stronger investment filters. If people think the digital authority is just a design or social media service, that tells me I need to show more of the CRM, automation, SEO, AEO, GEO strategy, and back-end work. That is the value of tracking inquiries. The inquiry is not just a lead, it is feedback from the market. It tells you what people think you do. It tells you what your content is attracting. It tells you whether your positioning is clear. It tells you whether your website is pre-qualifying people. It tells you if your audience understands your real value or only sees the surface. And this is the part that I think more service providers need to sit with. Being visible but misunderstood is expensive. It brings the wrong inquiries. It creates unnecessary calls. It makes sales harder. It makes proposals heavier. It makes you feel like you have to explain your entire value from zero every time. It makes you resent people for asking for the wrong thing, when sometimes the truth is the market is only repeating what your positioning made easiest to understand. That is a hard mirror, but it is a useful one. Because if people keep asking for the wrong thing, that is information. If they keep asking for a la carte services, that is information. If they keep coming in without budget, that is information. If they keep thinking you are just a designer or just a content person, that is information. And information is useful when you let it improve the system. This is also why I think a lot of creatives and service providers have to be honest with themselves. Sometimes the reason clients keep asking for a la carte services is because that is how we presented the work. We separated everything into a menu and then got frustrated when people treated us like a menu. We said website, branding, content, SEO, ads, automation, and consulting as if they were all separate plates, and then wondered why clients wanted to pick the cheapest one. But if the real value is in how those things work together, then the offer has to be structured that way. The language has to be structured that way. The proposal has to be structured that way. The sales call has to be structured that way. The content has to be structured that way. Otherwise, the client will keep buying pieces and expecting a system. And that is not fair to anyone. So now when I think about the digital authority, I think less about selling services and more about selling the container. The system, the structure, the path that turns a business from visible but inconsistent into findable, trusted, and booked. The deliverables still matter. Website matters, content matters, SEO matters, CRM matters, automation matters, email matters, reputation matters. But they matter because of how they work together. That is the difference. And I think this is the part a lot of business owners miss. They think the solution is the thing, the website, the logo, the content, the ad, the funnel, the CRM. But the real solution is usually the relationship between the things. How the website captures the lead, how the marketing system follows up, how the content creates trust, how the SEO brings search visibility, how AEO helps AI understand the brand, how reviews reduce doubt, how email nurtures people who are not ready, how the offer creates a clear next step, how the whole thing supports conversion. That is why a la carte marketing fails so often. It separates things that were supposed to work together. And I have learned that the hard way. I have seen businesses invest in one piece and then feel disappointed because the rest of the system was not ready to support it. I have seen beautiful websites fail because there was no traffic strategy. I have seen content fail because there was no offer clarity. I have seen ads fail because nobody followed up. I have seen SEO fail because the page did not convert. I have seen brands look premium but still not become trusted because there was no proof, no reputation, no consistency, and no authority. That is the maturity I think inquiry tracking gives you. It forces you to stop being flattered by every inquiry and start asking whether the inquiry matches the business you are actually building, because not every opportunity is aligned. Not every lead should become a call. Not every call should become a proposal. Not every proposal should become a client. And not every client is worth the cost of forcing a bad fit. So if you are listening to this and you are a service provider, I really recommend that you start tracking your inquiries, but keep it simple. Track where the inquiry came from, what they asked for, and whether they were a good fit or a bad fit. Those 3 things alone will already tell you so much. You will start seeing if Instagram brings attention but referrals bring buyers. You will see if people keep asking for a service you no longer want to sell. You will see if your content is attracting admiration but not buying intent. You will see if people understand one part of your work but not the full value. And once you see the pattern, you can change the positioning. You can update your website. You can change your contact form. You can create stronger filters. You can stop offering certain services standalone. You can explain who the offer is for and who it is not for. You can create content that addresses the misconception directly. You can talk more about the full system instead of the isolated deliverable. You can make the wrong people self-select out before they ever take your time. This is why I always come back to authority. Authority is not just being known, it is being known for the right thing. It is being easy to place in someone's mind. It is being easy to recommend. It is being clear enough that a friend can refer you, a prospect can understand you, a search engine can categorize you, and now even AI can connect your name to the right problem. That is the game now. The goal is not just to be visible. The goal is to be understood. Because when you are visible and understood, the conversation changes. People come in warmer, they have more context. They understand why the system matters. They are less likely to ask for random pieces. They are more likely to ask, "What do you recommend?" instead of, "Can you just do this one thing?" And that is the kind of inquiry I want more of. Not more people asking for a website, more people asking for the system that makes the website worth building. Not more people asking for content, more people asking for the strategy that makes content convert. Not more people asking for ads. More people asking if their backend is ready before they spend. Not more people asking for SEO. More people understanding that search, content, authority, and conversion have to work together. That is what the digital authority is built for. So if I had to summarize where I am with inquiries right now, I would say this. I am getting a small but meaningful number of inquiries every quarter because I am intentionally controlling capacity. Most are warm, most come through trust. The close rate is strong after filtering, but the work now is to keep sharpening the positioning so fewer people come in asking for isolated deliverables, and more people understand that the real offer is the growth system. That is the shift I want, not more noise, better alignment. And if you are building your own service business, I want you to think about that too. What are people currently asking you for? Is it what you actually want to sell? Are the best clients coming from the same place as the most inquiries? Are your bad fit inquiries showing you a messaging problem? Are you offering things separately that only work when they are connected? Are you letting people book pieces when what they actually need is a system? Because your inquiry data will tell you a lot about the business you are accidentally building. And if you do not like what it is showing you, you can change it. You can change the offer, you can change the filters, you can change the language, you can change the website, you can change the way you talk about the work. You can stop selling standalone services that keep producing weak results. You can stop letting clients turn your process into a menu. You can build a container that protects the work and makes the value clearer. That's it for today's episode of Paid to Know. Today was about inquiries, but really it was about alignment. It was about understanding where your leads come from, what kind of trust exists before the call, what your bad fit inquiries are trying to tell you, and why sometimes the smartest business decision is to stop selling the pieces separately and start protecting the full system. If this resonated, send it to a service provider, creative consultant, or business owner who keeps getting inquiries for the wrong thing and needs to hear that bad fit leads are not just frustrating, they are data. You can find me on Instagram at Ricaraga. And if you want more of my unfiltered business thoughts, my book, Lessons from the People Who Paid Me and the Ones Who Didn't, is available on ricaraga.com for the Philippines, Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and bookstores around the world. I'll see you in the next episode. I'm Ricaraga, and this is Paid to Know.